ஆழ்வார் எம்பெருமானார் ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், பிள்ளைலோக்காச்சாரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். We are going through the meanings for Mumukshupadi. Mumukshupadi is the foundational Grantham for Sri Vaishnavas. It is one of the most important Rahasya Granthams. In this Mumukshupadi, the most compassionate Pillalokacharya has given the meanings of Rahasya Trayam, Tirumantram, Dvaya Mahamantram and Charma Shlokam. Manavada Mamnigal has blessed us with a beautiful commentary for this Mumukshupadi. With the help of this commentary, we are now going through the detailed meanings of Rahasya Trayam. In the first section, in the first prakaranam of this Grantham, Tirumantram is discussed. After that, Dvaya Mahamantram, and subsequently Charma Shlokam will be discussed. These three mantrams, Tirumantram, Dvaya Mahamantram and Charma Shlokam, these three Rahasyams, they have interconnection. That is, Tirumantram is explaining the servitude of Atma towards Bhagavan, the total dependence of Atma towards Bhagavan, and so on. Whatever is explained in Pranavam, that is explained in Namaha and Narayanaya, and subsequently whatever is explained in Tirumantram, Ashtakshara Mantram, that is explained in detail in Dvaya Mahamantram, and in Charma Shlokam there is even more elaboration of the principles which are previously explained. So this type of relationship exists between these three Rahasyams. It is also explained that these three Rahasyams are Mantra, Vidhi and Anushtana Rahasyams. Mantra Rahasyam is Ashtakshara Mantram. Charma Shlokam is Vidhi Rahasyam. Dvaya Mahamantram is Anushtana Rahasyam. Mantra Rahasyam means that which liberates. The mantram is the one which liberates the reciter of that mantram. Vidhi is the order. Charma Shlokam is where Bhagavan is ordering us what to do and what not to do. Dvaya Mahamantram is Anushtana Rahasyam, that is, what is being practiced by Sri Vaishnavas. We always recite Dvaya Mahamantram starting with the Guru Parampara Mantram, Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Paramagurubhyo Namaha, up to Sridharaya Namaha. That is Guru Parampara Mantram. Followed by that, we should recite Dvaya Mahamantram always. So this is another way of seeing the three Rahasyams together. So this Tirumantram, we are towards the end of the Tirumantram section. We have gone up to 85th Sutram. There is only about 20 more Sutrams remaining in this Tirumantra Prakaranam, the section of Tirumantram. We have seen up to the 85th Sutram, and this section is relating to Namaha, the middle word in Tirumantram. In the 85th Sutram, we saw that this Namaha is helping us remove three types of hurdles, that is Swarupa Virodhi, Upaya Virodhi and Prapya Virodhi. All these three types of Virodhis, hurdles, they get eliminated by Namaha. When Namaha is read along with Pranavam, it removes Swarupa Virodhi. When Namaha is read along with Namaha, that is the middle word, it removes the Upaya Virodhi. When Namaha is recited with Narayanaya, it removes the Prapya Virodhi. Pranavam identifies, shows the identity, Swarupam of the individual. Any misunderstanding in the Swarupam would be eliminated when Pranavam is read along with Namaha. Because Namaha here says that I am not for me, I am only for Bhagavan. And Namaha is also seen as surrender. We are totally surrendering to Bhagavan. So in these two viewpoints, here when Pranavam and Namaha are recited, any misunderstanding in Swarupam will be removed. Namaha in the middle highlights the Upaya, that is means. Bhagavan is the means and we are not our own means. And when Namaha is recited along with Namaha, that is when we say Namo Namaha, that means it removes the confusion in the Upayam. And Narayanaya Namaha, when we say that together, Narayanaya indicates our servitude towards Bhagavan and our activities towards Bhagavan. Any misunderstanding there, such as doing service, Kainkaryam, for our own happiness, that will be removed when we understand Narayanaya Namaha together. So Namaha, when read along with the three words in Ashtaksharam, it removes the three different types of hurdles. That was explained in 85th Sutram. We just had a quick recap here. Now we have to start from the 86th Sutram. Let us see Mamunigal's introduction section for this 86th Sutram. So here in this Sutram, since Ahankaram and Mamakaram, these two are the hurdles, real hurdles for understanding Swarupa, understanding Upaya and understanding Purushartha and practicing that. So to understand and to practice the true nature, to practice the means, that is Upaya, and to understand and attain the goal, the main hurdle remains Ahankara and Mamakara. In this Sutram, Pillai highlights the cruel nature of such Ahankara and Mamakara and highlights how that Ahankara and Mamakara are eliminated and what is the benefit of getting the Ahankara and Mamakara eliminated. The Sutram is Maha Engai Swarupa Nasham, Namaha Engai Swarupa Ujjivanam. The simple meaning for this 86th Sutram is Maha Engai Swarupa Nasham, that is saying this is for me, I am my own, that is leading to destruction of the true nature of the self. And Namaha Engai Swarupa Ujjivanam, having clear understanding that nothing is for us, it is only for Bhagavan, everything is for Bhagavan, that understanding, Namaha, not for my own sake, having that is Swarupa Ujjivanam, that is, that will uplift the Jivatma. That is the simple meaning of this 86th Sutram. Let us see Mamunigal's commentary. Mamunigal is beautifully quoting from Ahirbudnya Samhita, Chetanasya yatha mamyam swasmin swiye cha vastuni mama iti akshara dvandvam Tatha mamyasya vachakam. Here there is, when the thought of mine, that is, this is for me, occurs in the mind with respect to self as well as objects which are related to the self, that leads to the two letters mama, which indicate, these two letters indicate the individual's ahankara and mamakara. That is the definition of the word mama and how that relates to the concept of thinking this is for me, I am for me, my own sake, my objects, my belongings, they are for my own sake. So this mama is exactly represented by maha, and that maha is having ahankara and mamakara. So when one becomes engaged in that concept of, in that thinking of maha, that will lead to the destruction of the true nature of the self. True nature of the self is what? Being totally dependent on Bhagavan, that Sheshatvam. When that Sheshatvam itself is questioned here and we say, I am for my own sake, then that servitude will not be there, that dependence will not be there. So that gets destroyed by thinking that I am for me. And when we say Namaha and when we remain free from such ahankara and mamakara, then that leads to uplifting the Atma, that leads to the uplifting of the Jivatma, that is liberation. Another quote is also shown here. Dvayaksharastu bhaven mrityuhu trayaksharam brahmanaha padam mameti dvayaksharo mrityur na mameti cha shashvatam. Nice quote here. Here the two-lettered word, that is mama, is said to be leading to death, leading one to death. And the three letters na mama, that leads to eternity. That is the simple meaning of this shlokam. So here also it is said that mama or maha, they both lead to destruction of the true nature of the self, and na maha or na mama leads to uplifting the self. So based on this, we can understand that remaining in the concept of maha is swarupa nasham, that is destruction of the self, and remaining in the thought of namaha is swarupa ujjivanam, uplifting the self. So that is 86th sutram. 87th sutram. In this sutram, Pilyalokacharya is mercifully explaining that not only the namaha eliminates the hurdles in swarupa, upaya and purushartha, but this namaha also explains and reveals the true nature, that is swarupa, upaya and palam. That is explained in this 87th sutram. Sutram is idudan swarupattayum upayatayum palatayum kaatum. Simple meaning is, this namaha itself will show swarupam, upayam and phalam, that is purushartham. There is no specific commentary for this sutram because it's explained in the next sutram by Pilyalokacharya. There we will see detailed commentary of Mamunigal. So here previously we saw na maha as two separate letters, and based on that the explanations were given. Now namaha is seen as a single word, and how that relates to swarupa, upaya and phalam is explained here. Mamunigal's introduction for the 88th sutram. Pilyalokacharya is explaining with the three subsequent statements that is in the 88th Sutram, starting with Tolaivilli Mangalam. He is explaining how the Namaha points to true nature, Upayam and Palam. Let us see the Sutram. Tolaivilli Mangalam Todum Engayale Swarupam Sollitru. Vengadatureivarku Nama Engayale Upayam Sollitru. Andi Todum Sol Engayale Palam Sollitru. Simple meaning for this Sutram. Tolaivilli Mangalam Todum. These are all Alvar's pasarams. In all of these pasarams, Namaha, that is Nama, this Namaha is highlighted as worshipping. Namaha also, when recited together, when seen together as a single word, it has the meaning of worshipping or surrendering. So, in that concept, not only Namaha eliminates the hurdles, because eliminating the hurdles that was seen in the viewpoint of Na Maha, being two different parts, and how Na is negation, Maha is for me, Na is negation. In that viewpoint, it is highlighted that Namaha removes the hurdles. Here, instead of splitting and seeing the meaning, it is seen as a single word, Namaha, with a direct meaning of worshipping and surrendering. So, Tolaivilli Mangalam Todum Engayale Swarupam Sollitru. By saying Tolaivilli Mangalam Todum, Alvar says that we worship Tolaivilli Mangalam, Dividesham. Todum is worshipping, that relates to Namaha. So, by saying that, the true nature of Jivatma is highlighted. Vengadatureivarku Nama, considering the Bhagavan who is residing in Sri Tiruvenkatam, that is Tirumala Tirupati, Sri Venkatesha Bhagavan, saying Nama towards Sri Venkatesha highlights, reveals that Upayam aspect, Namaha being the Upayam. Anditodum Sol, that is, Anditodum Sol means the word which is recited at the end, the word which is recited during the ultimate state of doing Kaikaryam. That is the meaning for Anditodum Sol. So, by saying that, the Palam, that is, the result, the gain is explained here. Let us see Mamunigal's commentary. Here, Tolaivilli Mangalam Todum, this is in Tuvlilma Manimada Mangalam. Tuvlilma Manimada Mongu, Tolaivilli Mangalam Todumi Vadai. It is in Tiruvaimozhi. This pasaram explains that Parankushanayaki, that is, Parankushanayaki is Nammalvar in feminine form. Nammalvar is always worshipping the Tolaivilli Mangalam Dividesham. And how Nammalvar is having total servitude, Sheshatvam, towards Bhagavan and going up to his Dividesham, which is Tolaivilli Mangalam. So, by saying this Todum here indicates Namaha, worshipping. So, there Nammalvar manifests that it is the natural quality, identity of a Sharanagata, of a Prapanna, to be surrendered, to be worshipping Bhagavan. So, that is the true nature of Bhagavan which is highlighted here. And true nature of the Jivatma, to be in the thought of worshipping, in the thought of always holding our hands together in Anjali Mudra and worshipping Bhagavan. That is explaining the Swarupam, that is the true nature, that is how a Bhakta will be. And then next is Vengadathu Ureivarku Namaha. So here, by saying that I am existing for the sake of Sri Venkatesha and not for my sake, by saying that, we can, here Alvar is giving up any thought of protecting the self. He is saying, my protection is fully under the responsibility of Sri Venkatesha Bhagavan. I am not protecting myself. So here this Namaha relates to Venkadatturevarku Nama. So here it is indicating the Upayam. Bhagavan is the Upayam. He is the Rakshaka. And that is explained in this particular section. Hence, this is talking about Upayam. And finally, Andithodum Sol. So here, when the servitude, when the total dependence on Bhagavan increases greatly, one will start saying Namaha, Namaha, Namaha. That is the revelation of the surrendered soul who is totally committed to Bhagavan. He will be fully praising Bhagavan by saying Namaha. Hence, the Upayam, the Phalam, that is attainment of the goal, is also shown in this Namaha. So Namaha shows both Upayam as well as Upayam as well as the Swarupam. All three are shown here, and also we have seen that it shows the elimination of hurdles in these three aspects: Swarupa, Upaya and Phala. So thus, in the 88th Sutram, Namaha revealing Swarupam, Upayam and Prapyam are explained nicely. Next is 89th Sutram. Mamnigal says, since Tadiya Sheshatvam, that is servitude towards Bhagavan's devotees, that is also implied here, Pillilokacharya is explaining that Bhagavata Sheshatvam, Tadiya Sheshatvam. 89th Sutram, Utradum un adiyar kadimai என்கிறபடியே இதிலே பாகவத சேஷத்துவமும் அனுசந்தேயம். In this Namaha, one can relate to Bhagavata Sheshatvam as well. That is, Bhagavata Sheshatvam means being totally dependent on Bhagavatas, serving Bhagavatas. Bhagavatas are devotees of Bhagavan. So, Utradum un adiyar kadimai என்கிறபடியே இதிலே Bhagavata Sheshatvam அனுசந்தேயம். This pasaram, Utradum un adiyar kadimai, this is from Periya Tirumozhi, words of Tirumangai Kaliyan. He says, Nin Tiruvetteluttum Katru Naan Uttradum un adiyar kadimai. After learning the Tirumantram very clearly from you, Tirukannapuram Shauri Perumal is the one who gave Tirumantra Upadesham to Tirumangai Alvar. So Alvar is telling such Bhagavan that after learning the meanings of Tirumantram from you, I have understood that I am the servant of your servitors, your devotees. So, the deeper we go into Tirumantram, when it is said that Atma is a servitor of Bhagavan, the inner principle is Atma is servitor of all the Bhagavatas. Because once Ahankaram and Mamakaram are eliminated, and once one fully understands the servitude towards Bhagavan, slowly that servitude towards Bhagavan should move towards servitude towards Bhagavatas. So that thought must be there in the mind of all the Prapannas, all the surrendered persons. So that is explained by Mamnigal in this 89th Sutram's commentary. Now 90th Sutram. Since this Bhagavata Sheshatvam, being a servitor of Bhagavatas, this is explained in other places as well. Not only in this Namaha, this Bhagavata Sheshatvam is explained in other places as well. We have already seen it a little bit previously. So we will see here further. Because some people say that, some acharyas say that Pillilokacharya is mercifully emphasizing that particular aspect in this 90th sutram, starting with இது அகாரத்திலே என்றும் சொல்லுவார்கள். 90th sutram, இது அகாரத்திலே என்றும் சொல்லுவார்கள், உகாரத்திலே என்றும் சொல்லுவார்கள். இது here means this Bhagavata Sheshatvam. So here the sutram says Bhagavata Sheshatvam is said to be present in akaram, that is in the first letter of pranavam, or it is present in ukara. Ukara is the second letter of pranavam. So some say that Bhagavata Sheshatvam is present in akaram and ukaram as well, not just in namaha but also in akara and ukara. We have already seen that in detail. We have already seen how akara, that is has Bhagavata Sheshatvam in it, because serving Bhagavan is the beginning stage, serving his devotees is the top stage. We have seen that already. Let us see the simple meaning. Akarathile endrum சொல்லுவார்கள், உக்காரத்திலே என்றும் சொல்லுவார்கள். So this Bhagavata Sheshatvam is present in akara as well as ukara, says some acharyas. Mamnigal's commentary, that is, as Chaturthi explains Atma's Sheshatvam towards Bhagavan, that ultimate stage of Bhagavad Sheshatvam, that is ultimate state of being a servitor of Bhagavan, is to become a dear servitor of his devotees, the Bhagavatas. So as that is explained, this Bhagavata Sheshatvam is explained in akaram itself, says some acharyas. And Ananyarha Sheshatvam, that is having Sheshatvam only towards Bhagavan and no one else, that particular Ananyarha Sheshatvam, the ultimate state of that is leading towards Bhagavatas, being a servitor of Bhagavatas. Because of that concept, already Ukaram explains Ananyarhatvam, that exclusivity towards Bhagavan. So it is said that Ukaram explains Ananyarhatvam, and that Ananyarhatvam leads to Bhagavata Sheshatvam. That is, being a devotee, a servitor of Bhagavan is the beginning stage. Only being servitor of Bhagavan is the beginning stage, and then that will eventually culminate into one will be fully surrendered to Bhagavatas only, Bhagavan's dear devotees only. So some say that because Ukaram emphasizes this exclusivity, some say that Ukaram also has Bhagavata Sheshatvam. But in those two places they are implied, but here it is very explicit. Here Namaha is clearly saying that I am not for me, I am only for Bhagavan, and that too I am for Bhagavan's devotees. So that is this 90th Sutram, and in the end here this particular place is said as Kandal Kadinda Vidam. Kandal means some dirt or some unwanted things which are present in the Atma, that is attachment towards all the worldly aspects. When all of that get eliminated, one truly understands the true nature of Jivatma, and the true nature of Jivatma is to be fully surrendered to Bhagavan and Bhagavatas, and hence it is more apt in Namaha to explain Bhagavata Sheshatvam. So that is 90th Sutram. Now in the 91st Sutram, it's a very nice Sutram, Mamnigal's introduction. Here Pilyalokacharya is giving the difference, mercifully giving the difference between the state of one fully surrendering to Bhagavan and after surrendering to Bhagavan. After having all this understanding, what will be the thinking of Jivatma is explained here, starting with Ishwaran Tanakkeyayirukkum. 91st Sutram. Ishwaran Tanakkeyayirukkum, Achittu Pirarkkeyayirukkum, ஆத்மா தனக்கும் பிறர்க்கும் பொதுவாய் இருக்கும் என்று முற்பட்ட நினைவு. அங்கனன்றிக்கே அச்சித்தை போலே தனக்கேயாக எனைக் கொள்ள வேணும் என்கிறது நமசால். By namas, here Atma is praying to Bhagavan that you should accept me and you should enjoy me just like you enjoy Achit, insentient entities. If you have, let's say, a flower, how you enjoy that flower? You don't see any aspect of the flower to give a response, or you don't see whether the flower likes you or not. You just take the flower and you enjoy it. That is the state of true servitude. When Bhagavan enjoys Jivatma, the Jivatma should fully cooperate and should never be a hurdle for Bhagavan for his enjoyment. So that is the main thing to be understood. So let us see the simple meaning for 91st Sutram. Ishwaran tanakkeyayirukkum. So Ishvara will remain for his own sake. Bhagavan does not remain for others, he only remains for his own sake. Achit pirarkkeyayirukkum. Insentient entities will remain for others. Atma tanakum pirarkum poduvayirukkum. Atma will remain for the sake of his own as well as for the sake of others. Endru murpatta ninevu. That is the previous thought process. One, before surrendering to Bhagavan, before fully acquiring knowledge, one will think like this only. Anganandrike achittai pole tanakkeyயாக எனைக் கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்கிறது நமசால். By praying namas, by praying through this namas towards Bhagavan, one says that you should have me as you would have and rule over Achit entities. Just like you enjoy a flower, just like you enjoy your simhasanam, just like you enjoy your ornaments, just like you enjoy all the other insentient objects, the objects which don't have knowledge, similarly you enjoy me as well. You enjoy me for your own happiness only. Don't see what I will think about, don't see what is my desire. You only see what is your desire. That is the expectation here. Once one fully surrenders, one fully gives all the responsibilities to Bhagavan. So that is the simple meaning. Let us see the commentary. That is, Swarupam Swatantriyam Bhagavatah. So it is said that Bhagavan's true nature, Swarupam, is being self-centered. That is his nature. Because Bhagavan is the creator of everyone, Bhagavan is the creator of everything, it is for his pleasure only everything exists. So he will be looking at his own free will and his own activities. That is the nature of Ishvara. And since Achetanam, the insentient objects, they don't have consciousness, they remain for Bhagavan's sake only and they don't have any other desires. Because Achit remains for others' happiness. For example, a garland cannot enjoy itself. Sandalwood paste cannot itself enjoy. But somebody can take the garland and wear it and they can feel happy. So this garland, which is insentient, it has no knowledge and it does not have any enjoyment for itself. Only Bhagavan has enjoyment for him. So that is here explained. Because this insentient objects, they don't have knowledge, they only have Paratantriya Swarupam, they only are fully dependent, and hence all the Achit, insentient objects, will remain for the sake of others. Now Jivatma, on the other hand, will have both qualities. Chaturthi, as the Chaturthi has Sheshatvam, Aya has Sheshatvam in it, so Bhagavan will have Sheshatvam as well. And then Makaram says Atma is Jnatha. Atma has knowledge. So because it is said that Atma is having knowledge, it is Chit. So there is scope for self-satisfaction. But in case of Achit, there is no such scope. So previously we will think, based on these definitions from Shastram, we will think that Ishvara remains for his own sake, Achit remains for the sake of others, that is Bhagavan mainly, and Chit, Jivatma, remains sometimes for the sake of the self and sometimes for the sake of the others. But once one acquires clear knowledge about Namaha, that nothing is for us, nothing is for our own, then one will become totally in the mood of Tanakkeyaga enai kollumide, as Nammalvar said. Nammalvar said in Yamma Vittiramam, in that decade, Nammalvar says, Tanakkeyaga enai kollumide. You should have me for your service, for your sake, not for my sake. You should liberate me only to satisfy your desire, not to satisfy my desire. So that was Alvar's prayer here. In this manner, just as said in this particular Pasuram, here Mamnigal says in the commentary that one should remain to be enjoyed by Bhagavan only, and one should pray for such enjoyment for Bhagavan only. So that is 91st Sutram. 92nd Sutram. Further, Pillulokacharya explains the concept of Tanakkeyaga. Whatever is explained in that Pasuram, Tanakkeyaga enai kollumide, in that Pasuram, he is explaining, Pillulokacharya is explaining here in the 92nd Sutram, starting with Adavadu. Adavadu, Bogadashayil, Ishwaran adikumbodhu, Nokka venum endru aliyadoligai. Simple meaning for this particular Sutram is, that is, when Bhagavan is enjoying with us in union, when Bhagavan even destroys our Sheshatvam, even at that stage, we should not say that I have to protect my Sheshatvam. I should not let Bhagavan destroy my Sheshatvam. And in this manner, one should not interfere in Bhagavan's activity. That is the simple meaning. If you see the commentary of Mamnigal and if you see some examples, then we will understand this point clearly. So when one is being enjoyed by Bhagavan, at that time, when Bhagavan is enjoying Jivatma, at that time he may enjoy in any different way. For example, a father and a very young child is there. Let's say they are present. The father may take the child and place the child on his head. Father may take the feet of the child and touch the feet on his forehead. In this manner, he can play with the child in any different way. At that time, the child should not withhold, child should not withdraw from the activity. Then that will not be giving joy to the father. Same thing can be seen in husband and wife relationship. When the husband wants to serve the wife in privacy, at that time the wife should not deny that. She should not say, no, you are my husband, you are my Bharta, my Swami, you should be accepting service from me. So that is happening in public. In public, this wife should serve the husband. But in private, let's say the husband serves the wife. At that time, the wife should let him serve to his fullest joy. That is the nature, that should be the nature of the wife. So this is the same principle here explained, because Jivatma and Paramatma have this husband and wife relationship. Paramatma is Purushottama, husband of all Jivatmas. All the Jivatmas are three. So in this manner, when Bhagavan comes and desires to serve the Atma, As said in Nammalvar's Pasuram here, Atkolvan Ottu en Uyirundamayan. Bhagavan came as if he is accepting my service. But due to his great love towards me, now he is accepting service from me. At that time. So in such cases, in such situations, the Atma should not deny pleasure for Bhagavan. So an example is given here. When Bhagavan came to Nammalvar, Shatakopa Swami, at that time, if Nammalvar is being served by Bhagavan, and if Bhagavan starts massaging Nammalvar's divine feet, lotus feet, at that time, Nammalvar should not and will not withdraw his feet. Rather, he sees the desire of Bhagavan, he sees that Bhagavan wants to massage the feet, and he gives his first foot, and after some time he gives his second foot, and Bhagavan's joy becomes doubled. He realizes that Alvar understands my heart, Alvar acknowledges my desire and lets me serve. So at that time, one should not say, no, I am your servitor, you are my Lord, you are my master, you should not be doing this towards me. And if we say that, and if we try to protect our own servitude rather than giving joy to Bhagavan, that itself is a mistake. So that Bhagavan's pleasure should not be interrupted in whatever situation one may be. So when Bhagavan wants to have the Jivatma as the recipient of his service, at that time the Jivatma should let that happen. So here basically connecting the previous sutram, the concept here is our Sheshatvam is important, but more than that, Bhagavan's desire and Bhagavan's pleasure are more important, and we should adjust and we should let Bhagavan enjoy in the best way he desires to enjoy us. So that is the 92nd sutram. Then 93rd sutram. There is a question here. Why would the Jivatma try to interrupt Bhagavan and protect his own Sheshatvam? So why would he do that? That is the question. Now if one understands clearly that one exists for the pleasure of Bhagavan, one would not naturally deny Bhagavan's pleasure. He would let Bhagavan enjoy. Why would he do that? Why would he stop it? And for that Pillai explains, starting with Adikkaikku Hetu. Sutram is Adikkaikku Hetu Keele Sollitru Melum Sollum. One may try to stop Bhagavan from doing such activities like serving Atma. That is because of the reasons which were explained previously and which will be explained subsequently. When was it explained previously? In Pranavam, it was explained previously that Atma is a servitor of Bhagavan. Atma's nature is to serve Bhagavan. So because of that principle fully imprinted on the Atma, as Atma fully understands that, when Bhagavan tries to serve Atma, at that time the Atma may withdraw, thinking that no, I am the servant and he is the Lord, he should not serve me. Similarly, when we look at Narayanaya, subsequently we are going to see that in that Narayanaya it is said that Atma is existing for Narayana, Atma is present to serve Narayana. If Narayana tries to serve Atma, then Atma may withdraw, may hesitate at that time. So the reason for such hesitation is clear understanding of Sheshatvam, but the reason why one should not hesitate or one should not stop Bhagavan from enjoyment is also the same thing. One should understand that one is a servitor and one should give joy to Bhagavan in the way Bhagavan wants, not the way we like. So if Bhagavan wants to put us in a higher platform, we should accept that. We should accept that and we should fulfill his desire. For example, Bhagavan remained the charioteer of Arjuna. Arjuna was the Rathi and Bhagavan Krishna was Sarathi. That was Bhagavan's desire. He wanted to serve Arjuna. So Arjuna could not deny that. Similarly, there are so many incidents. Kuchela, when Kuchela visited Krishna's palace, at that time Krishna made Kuchela sit on a throne and Krishna and Rukmini, both of them served Kuchela. But Kuchela is a devotee of Bhagavan. But Bhagavan wanted at that time to serve Kuchela, so he allowed that. So in this manner, the reason one may withdraw from such situation is thinking about one's servitude towards Bhagavan, but the same reason should ensure that we don't stop Bhagavan from his enjoyment, we don't stop Bhagavan from having his pleasure. So that is explained in this 93rd Sutram. So in these three Sutrams, the concept of everything exists for Bhagavan is clearly explained. In the 91st Sutram, the previous stage and current stage was explained. Previous stage was considering Ishvara to exist for his own sake, Achit to exist for others' sake, and Jivatma to exist for self and others' sake. But once there is clarity in thought, Jivatma will fully exist for Bhagavan's sake and will not seek his own pleasure. In the 92nd Sutram, how is that implemented practically? How is that seen practically? That is, when Bhagavan wants to have pleasure, in whichever way he wants, the Jivatma should allow that. Jivatma should not put any hurdle for Bhagavan and cause denial of Bhagavan's enjoyment. And 93rd Sutram is, why would the Jivatma deny Bhagavan's enjoyment? And that is answered here, that one may think about Jivatma as just a servitor, and with that thought process one may do like that. But when one understands the true nature of self and the importance of giving pleasure to Bhagavan, then one will not deny such activities. So these three Sutrams address this important point. Now 94th Sutram. This is the final Sutram in this section explaining Namaspadam. So this Sutram's introduction, Mamunigal explains this faith, this understanding in Paratantriyam, the greatness of such aspect is greatly explained by Pillalokacharya, and he concludes this Namaspadam with this 94th Sutram, says Mamunigal. 94th Sutram, இந்நினைவு பிறந்த போதே கிருதகிருத்தியன், இந்நினைவு இல்லாத போது எல்லா துஷ்கிருத்தங்களும் கிருத்தம், இந்நினைவினாலே எல்லா சுகிருத்தங்களும் உண்டு, இது இன்றைக்கே இருக்க பண்ணும் யஜ்ஞாதிகளும் பிராயஷ்சித்தாதிகளும் நிஷ்பிரயோஜனங்கள், இதுதன்னாலே எல்லா பாபங்களும் போம் எல்லா பலங்களும் உண்டாம். It's a little bit big sutram, lot of information is present in this. Let us see, but it's very simple explanation, very easy to understand. Inniraivu pirandha bodhe kritakrityan. Let us see the simple meaning first. When this Paratantriyam is understood, then one becomes kritakritya, one becomes a person who has completed what is to be done. Kritakritya means one who is done whatever needs to be done. In ninevillada bodhu ella dushkritangalum kritam. When this particular understanding about Paratantriyam, total dependence, is not there, then all evil deeds are considered to be done by this person. இந்நினைவிலே எல்லா சுக்கிருதங்களும் உண்டு. In this particular thought process, all noble deeds are present. இதென்றிக்கே இருக்க பண்ணும் யஜ்ஞாதிகளும் பிராயஷ்சித்தாதிகளும் நிஷ்பிரயோஜனங்கள். Without this concept of understanding the Paratantriyam, if one engages in yajna and any prayaschitta activity, atonement, all of these will become useless. இது தன்னாலே எல்லா பாபங்களும் போம், எல்லா பலங்களும் உண்டாம். With this understanding, all the sins will be eradicated and all the benefits will be granted. So that is simple meaning for 94th Sutram. Let us see Mamnigal's commentary. So only when one comes to the stage of தனக்கேயாக எனக்கொள்ள வேணும், that is we already seen that one should think that Bhagavan should have this Atma only for Bhagavan's pleasure, for not for Atma's pleasure. So when such thinking is present, then whatever needs to be done, the individual, whatever needs to be done, that's all already done. Whatever needs to be done, they are all completed. First, that is the first section. Now when Pillokacharya says, in ninevillada podi ella dushkritangalum kritam, that means when this Paratantriyam, that is total dependence, is not there, there is a foundational problem. Kintena nakritam papam chorena atmapaharina. That is, we have already seen this Mahabharata shlokam. When one considers the self as independent, then all other cheatings, all other stealings, they are all considered to be done by the individual. So similarly, when this Paratantriyam, this concept of Paratantriyam is not present in the mind, then whatever activities he does, they will all be counted as evil deeds only. All the evil deeds are considered to have been done by this individual who lacks such concept of Paratantriyam. In ninevile ella sukritangalum undu. That means when one acquires this Paratantriya knowledge, that is, if one understands that one is a total dependent on Bhagavan and acts according to that, then whatever good deeds, noble deeds are done that will cause pleasure to Bhagavan, joy in Bhagavan, all of that would have considered to be done, and Bhagavan would have pleasure, would have acquired joy by such thinking itself, by thinking that we are totally dependent. That itself will lead to Bhagavan's mercy. And subsequently he says, இது இன்றிக்கே பண்ணும் யஜ்ஞாதிகளும் பிராயஷ்சித்தாதிகளும் நிஷ்பிரயோஜனங்கள். This, without this understanding of Paratantriyam, without considering that everything is done as Kainkaryam to Bhagavan, if anyone engages in Prayashchittam, that is atonement and other activities, all of these are useless, nishprayojana. Because when that Paratantriyam is not there, all the yagams, yajnams, prayaschittams, all of these are done to pacify Bhagavan, satisfy Bhagavan. But Bhagavan himself will not be pleased with such activities when they don't have such humble attitude and dependent attitude. Now the yaga yajnas are considered to be nitya karma, and there is also other karma such as krichra, chandrayana. These are all done to eliminate whatever sins we commit. These are all considered as atonements. So these atonements as well, when done without the concept of Paratantriyam, that will not give pleasure to Bhagavan, and that means that will be useless. When The ultimate goal of doing yagyagyams and all the prayashchitam and all of that is to please Bhagavan. But when that Paratantriyam concept is not there, then that will not happen. And final section of that sutram is idudannale ella papangalum pom ella palangalum undam. With this Paratantriya pratipatti, with this concept, firm faith in Paratantriyam, since Bhagavan is going to give his great mercy towards such persons, that will lead to elimination of all sins. A sin or a virtue, what is that? They are just the thoughts about the Jivatma in Bhagavan's heart. A person performs a particular activity. That activity is done. Let's say a person performs a particular yajna. When the activity is done, all the memories vanish from everywhere except Bhagavan's mind. Bhagavan keeps track of every single punya and papa of Jivatma. Now when Bhagavan shows overwhelming compassion towards such Jivatmas, naturally all the sins and all the results of the sins which such person need to enjoy or experience, they will all be eliminated. And because Bhagavan's heart becomes pleased when seeing this total dependence, he will also grant all the results to such person. So that is explained here. Mamnigal quotes, "Unnadiyarku en seivan endre iruttini." Here, as the individual remains, what can I do to your servitors? And Bhagavan too always look forward to help his devotees, help his bhaktas, prapannas. He is also waiting for such opportunity. Because of that, when we show total dependence, all the sins will be eliminated and all the good deeds will occur in us and all the benefits, all the results will be attained. So, with this, the Madhyama Padam, that is Namaha, is explained in great detail. From 95th Sutram, we will start seeing Narayana Pada Artham, the meaning for Narayana Padam. ஆழ்வார் எம்பெருமானார் ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம்.
To learn such valuable information about our Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, please download Koyil, Koyil app from Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Our website is koyil.org, koyil.org.